activities for noticing, for inputting, awareness, check-up, gain, and experimentation. Activities that you can just maybe take and use in your classroom. If you like this model, this framework, and want to adopt it, fantastic. If you just want to take the practical ideas, absolutely fine. As we go through, I encourage you to analyze, think about the ideas we are demonstrating, think how you will maybe adapt them, change them for your classes, make them more challenging, make them more easy, depending on the context of your students. All right? So we're going to jump straight in. Let's get straight in there. We're going to have a look at something called noticing. I mentioned it briefly in the first session. So this is all about helping students or expose them to the target language before we start directly teaching the grammar. Just expose them with the target language first. It's kind of quite related, for those that have done your TESOL courses, it's quite closely connected to like a test, teach, test approach. So we sort of test them out a little bit first, see what they know, okay, and then we sort of can teach anything that they're short of. So we call this focusing implicitly, okay? Just more sort of indirect teaching of grammar, not sort of direct teaching. So just an example of how we might do this before we start teaching the grammar, say for example in lesson 3 is a grammar page. Maybe in lesson 1, 2 we start exposing them first, right? Through the grammar in context. So here we have a story about a donkey. It's a famous story about the animals. There's a donkey and a chicken and a dog. It's a very famous folk story. Do you remember that one? No, me neither, don't worry. So here they have all you can see the target language that we're going to focus on today. We're going to have a look at actually more on the irregular past simple, all right? But this would be an example of an implicit approach. So the key language is already integrated into the text before we start teaching it. So we do the story, we expose them to the language. Likewise, in comprehension questions, I'm sure you can identify there some of the key past simple, irregular verbs. Again, we're already exposing them before we directly teach. So let's have a look at another practical example of how we can expose them to the language before we directly teach. So we're going to focus on an activity called story dictation. Hopefully you guys have used dictations a lot in your class as well. Really great for integrating skills. This one is a story dictation, and we're going to be focusing on 3 or 6 key verbs for this lesson. All right? So for this activity, I need 3 volunteers who fancy themselves as quite artistic. 3 good drawers, 3 volunteers. 3 volunteers. Go on, don't be shy. Actually, the worse the artist, the better, the funnier it will be. Wonderful. You look very artistic, yeah. So maybe you can come and be the artist. I need one more. I need an artist here and an artist over here. Don't be shy, don't be shy. Go on, sir. Yes, come on. Come on over here. Well done. Great. Come on, one more. Yes, come on down. All right. So we have our representatives. Give them a round of applause. You can grade their artistic talents later. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dictate to you guys some sentences. As we go, I want you to start drawing, okay, in a visual form what I'm saying, okay? Sound good? All right? So the first thing we need to do is sort of set the scene, okay? So yesterday. So what was the date yesterday? So first off, on the top, can you write the date? What was the date yesterday? Can you help me? I've got no idea. 30th. What day of the week? Yesterday? Okay, so Tuesday. Oh, okay. All right, okay. 30th Today's Tuesday. All right. We're just confirming that was yesterday. Okay. We need that. You'll see why later. All right. So first sentence. Yesterday, I went to It's okay, you can go. Yesterday I went here. Don't say it. And you keep drawing, okay? How's he doing over there? Oh, you started looking over here now, have you? Okay. Okay. How's he doing? Oh, wow, that's pretty good. So yesterday I went to the beach, maybe? Halong Bay. How's he doing over here? So you just stand on the other side. Yes. You shout at him if he's in the way. Okay, all right. So yesterday I went to Halong Bay. I went with my, all right, nice and big so everyone can see. Nice and big. I'm so sorry, this group. He's doing well. Oh, so I went with my
parents. Me?
Russian internet bride. No. I went with my girlfriend. Okay, I went with my girlfriend. All right. All right. She wore a. Oh, no. She wore a beautiful hat. Yes, it is. Kind of, yes. Oh, wow, that's a shrubbery. Yes, well done. Now, what I want you guys now to do, have a look at the key verbs there. So we've got see, maybe have, wear, say, jump. Okay? What I want you to do is try and discuss some ideas to help them continue, all right? So something like, I said, blah, 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 okay? Okay, so discuss this one. So I said, blah, 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 blah. Tell your partner, what did I say? So I said, blah, 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 blah. Tell your partner, what did I say? Okay. What did I say? Will you marry me? Oh, there's a story. So I said, will you marry me? So can you draw a speech bubble from me saying, will you marry me? A nice big speech bubble. All right? So will you marry me? Now think about, she said, blah, 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 blah. What did she say? Tell your partner. Where's the diamond ring? We had a big no over there. Don't do it. Any other ones? Oh, what? Where is the diamond ring? It's quite long, isn't it? Just go, what? Seriously? Question mark? Okay, so the girlfriend saying, seriously? Question mark? Wonderful, okay? And so on and so on. What I want you to do now, you can continue maybe inputting some of the other key verbs if you want. What I want you to do now is look at the picture with your partner. Can you just try and retell what they drew? So, yesterday, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute with your partner. Try and retell. Pretty good job. Okay. All right, well done. So can we give our volunteer artists a very big hand? Okay, well done. Now, over to you. That's one example how you can maybe start setting the context, start trying them out, testing them out with the grammar. If they're not perfect, creating sentences at this point, that's okay, that's okay. Back over to you now. You saw the activity. How would you maybe change, adapt? What would you add for your classroom? Think about a classroom of young learners, it may be adults or teenagers. How would you adapt this kind of activity in your class? Have a quick chat in a group or a pair. All right, I'll give you a minute. Just to bring that back to the context of your class. We'll do that for each activity. I think it's quite a useful activity just to see how you can relate that back to your class. Okay. Now, so that's at the start of the class, we're getting them to maybe notice the grammar, the target grammar at the start through this noticing type of activity. Hopefully quite fun and emotionally engaging for them as well. So maybe we had a quick reflection about maybe the activity, how would you adapt the activity as well. So once we've maybe exposed them a little bit to the grammar more indirectly, we can now focus a little bit more on giving them some input of our sort of target language. So now seeing and hearing the examples a bit more in sort of isolation. Okay, at the start, more in context, a bit more isolation now. So a couple of ways that we can do this. We'll come back to this a little bit later in this workshop. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about something called color coding for grammar to help them engage and sort of visually see the grammar. And we'll have a look about that a little bit later. All right. Before we do this, I mentioned about the emotional engagement and using different stimulus for our students. And we're actually going to have a little watch of a little grammar video, okay, as a nice sort of stimulus for our students. Before we watch the video, have a look at the picture. What words do you expect to see? Any prediction on what is going to happen? Have a quick chat with a partner. What can you see? Vocab, prediction of events. Okay, so what can you see? What can you see? A man, old man, young man, maybe a young man. Anything else you see? Cake. The different colours. He's got a sensible shoes. Yeah, sensible shoes. Yeah. They're quite small though, aren't they? A bit out of proportion. All right, and also he has okay, what do you think maybe will happen? What do you think might happen? He might drop it?
Yes.
Somebody in Ho Chi Minh said he takes off his hat and puts it on the cake. Very thinking, all right. So we'll see in a minute. What about now? So we're going to see some other events in this video. So now it's raining. He might actually use his hat. How does he look now? He was pretty happy before. Where is he? He was pretty happy before now. He's sad, he's worried, yeah. Why? Where do you think he's going?
His girlfriend's party.
To his girlfriend's party? Alright. So let's have a little watch and see what happens. Okay. See if you let me turn off my Maroon 5. Maroon 5, good choice, bad choice. Controversial.
Past simple, irregular verbs.
Here he is. Pretty happy. I'm not sure why he's a chef, but
He had a cake.
can you guess the sentence now? So the first one, he had a cake. What do you think now? Starting to rain. What do you think will be the sentence? Let's have a look. It's always good to watch twice together.
Past simple, irregular verbs. He had a cake.
Yes. Oh! Got it. Did or not have.
He did not have
Or.
an umbrella. He didn't have an umbrella. He had a cake. He didn't have an umbrella.
All right, so have a think about that video, also maybe a little bit with the color coding as well. Have a little chat with a partner. How would you use a video like that, if you had a grammar video? And maybe start thinking about what are some of the benefits of that color coding, okay? Start identifying what are the blue boxes, what is the red one, okay? Have a quick chat, 1 minute. So again there we were kind of inputting the target grammar. Actually still we're not directly teaching the grammar. This is the subject, verb, object, anything like that. We're kind of creating more kind of awareness first. Okay, we're building up their knowledge. Maybe that color coding is helping them identify the key parts of a sentence. Again, still a little bit implicitly as well. We're now going to have a look at how, we talked about inductive learning, how we can help the students start working out the grammar for themselves, okay? What is the benefit of helping students to work it out themselves? If we just tell them, this is the grammar, blah, 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 off we go and practice. Some may remember, probably. Some actually may prefer that kind of style. You never know, actually. It's probably quite likely. But if we give them an opportunity to work it out themselves, they're thinking more about it, and hopefully it will stick more. So we're going to have a look at how we can start analysing the target grammar and get them working it out. Oh, who are those guys? Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson, all right? And what is their job? They are detectives. And what do detectives do? They deduce, they detect, analyze, solve problems, okay? So I like to do this with my students. They become my kind of grammar detectives, okay? So grammar detectives. So I'm going to ask you to help me start working out the grammar, all right? So grammar detective activity. We'll have a look at those two key sentences. What questions could you ask your students to get them start trying to work out those two sentences? What could you ask? Bear in mind maybe the color coding. What could you ask them to help start trying to work it out themselves? Have a quick chat with a partner. What questions could you ask? All right. Any ideas? Any questions that you might ask? What could you ask them? Let's have a look at a couple. That's what I'm getting at. So something like, what's the difference between the two sentences? Okay, so they sort of spot the difference. What are the differences between the two sentences? Have a look. Tell your partner. What are the key differences there? So maybe the first one, what are the differences? This one we have a had. This one we have maybe a have. Okay, interesting. And this one we have a didn't. Right? So maybe we might also ask them, why is the word in the blue box different, maybe? So why is the word in the blue box different in the second sentence, do you think? Because there's a red box. And what's in the red box? A didn't. Okay, all right. So we're helping them start to try and identify the key differences. Hopefully start trying to help them work it out for themselves. Okay? A couple of very sort of simple questions. All right? So once we've helped them to start to notice the target language or expose them to the target language in the lesson through our opening activity, they've maybe had a chance to hear and see some examples, okay, through the two sentences and through the video. And they've started to build up a little bit of awareness about the grammar and how we form those two different sentences. So at this point, it's a good opportunity just to stop and check, just to check that they are with you, okay, and will be able to use the grammar correctly. So a couple of ideas for a few little check-up tasks that you can do at any point in the lesson. A little question task or mini tasks. So actually in the book it then moves on to a little sort of control practice, a very common activity, right, in course books. Control practice where they put in the correct form of the verb, okay, in the past simple. So a couple of options at how we can kind of, this is a great controlled activity. There's some other options that we can use to bring this alive. Right? So one of them is a little activity called a beat dictation. All right. So this is an activity. So what I want you to do in this activity, I'm going to read you some sentences, okay? And I'm going to throw in some beeps, okay? Sounds like sometimes in Vietnam, if you watch HBO before 9 o'clock, and they dub some of the bad language, right? So I'm going to read you a sentence. When you hear a beep, I want you to choose a grammatically correct word to fill the or replace the beep. Okay? Keep it clean. Keep it clean. All right. Okay. So the first one. Okay. Let me go back to that picture. All right. So for example, we have here, you could say the animals beep to the city. Okay? What else could you write there? The animals beep to a city. What else could you do? The animals didn't, can you say didn't went? Didn't go or didn't walk, didn't run, didn't fly. Okay, that's what you want. The verbs that will work grammatically. All right. Next one. The animals beep the farmer. The animals beep the farmer. Okay. So write down a grammatically correct, in this case, a verb. Okay. All right, and tell your partner, what did you write? Do you have the same or different? Tell your partner. So what do you have? Let me know, what did you have? The farmer attacked? Very nice.
Murdered.
Murdered? Word. They let you teach. Oh wow. And what else? 8? 8 the farmers, yeah. Beat the farmers. Love the farmers. All right, very good. Next one. The animals didn't beat the farmer's wife. The animals didn't beat the farmer's wife. So write down a grammatically correct word. It's in the book. It's in the book. I'm not making it up. All right, and tell your partner. Tell your partner. What did you write? What's your sentence? All right, so we had didn't appreciate the farmer's wife. What else? Didn't see, didn't respect. Didn't kiss the farmer's wife. All right. So so hopefully the students will begin to start being a little bit creative. But if you wanted to stick to the target verbs in the lesson, you could write those and support them. You could write the target verbs on the board, or just let them be a little bit creative as well. Question back to you. This is quite a big class. Some of you have big classes, even 20 students. How can you make sure that they are actually getting it grammatically correct? Sometimes you can't quite get to everyone or see everyone. How can you make sure that they're all on course and being grammatically correct with this activity? Tell your partner very quickly, what could you do? Okay, I'm sure you've got some good ideas. One other idea, I'm sure you guys might be creative and use these things, but I love to use little mini whiteboards. So you have the plastic and you put that in, and then they can maybe work in pairs, groups. They discuss, write down their word, and then the teacher says 3, 2, 1. Yeah, hands up, and they hold up their board, and then you can actually physically see everyone and say, oh, is that correct? Can you help them? Can you help them correct that one? What's wrong with this one? Can you help them correct? So at least you can try and see everyone to see if they're on course. Okay? I'm sure you guys have got other ideas, little check-up activities like this one. Another great one, maybe a correct the facts activity. So the aim here is maybe the teacher first writes some factually incorrect sentences using the target language, okay, about a picture. And then the students have to try and rewrite the sentences correctly, again using the target language. If you've got a higher level class, they might even look at a picture and they themselves will write factually incorrect sentences and then challenge their partner to correct. Again, you can give them the key verbs that they should be using for this activity to help you structure. So let's have a look at the examples. So this one is from Little Red Riding Hood. Can you think of look at the pictures first. Can you think of a factually incorrect sentence using maybe some of those verbs we were looking at? Was it jump, wear, see, say, go? So something like, yeah, she wore a blue coat, and the students have to change, she wore a red coat. The bear watched her, the wolf watched her, okay, etc., etc. We might go on and add some more sentences using the key verbs there. Again, maybe to begin with, teacher, you can lead that activity. They correct your sentences. Once they understand it, they're a little bit sort of more proficient, they can write their own factually incorrect sentences. Again, that's a little check-up task, using a target language, just checking that they're on course. All right? So we've had a chance to sort of input the grammar, they're noticing it, the target language, they're starting to work it out for themselves. A couple of little check-up activities just to make sure they're on course. Now we can start playing a little bit with the grammar. Not in the sense of, teacher, play game. Team 1, 5 points. Team 2, 6 points. Okay? But more like game in the sense of, yeah, playing with the grammar. Okay, trying it out. All right. I want to return to this idea of color coding. Okay? So for this activity, I'm going to give you, I'm going to hand out to the audience some random bits of, random words. We've got red coat, bad wolf, the bed, the forest, cane, dad, etc., etc. You'll start noticing that there are different colours as well. We'll come back to that a little bit later. Okay? Could I ask a volunteer, could you help give these out to just teachers all over the room? Could you help me do the same? Just hand them out on this side. Great. And then we'll do the same on this side. Could you help me hand out some of these to some teachers around? Could you help me hand out some of those to teachers on this side? Okay. Great.
I have two left.
Don't worry. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you some visual clues, a picture from the story. What I want you to do, if you think your word is connected to that picture, I want you to try and come up, okay, and between you, see if you can form a correct sentence, okay? You have the same words as this side, so see if you get the same or a little bit different, okay, on either side, all right? So, let's have a look at the first one. So again, we're focusing on the key verbs for the lesson here. So first visual clue, we've got Little Red Riding Hood, and she's doing this to somebody. Okay, maybe have a think what she might be doing. If you think you might have that word. So we've got a goodbye there on this side. Maybe, yeah. Good. Nice. So we've got goodbye, mum and dad. All right. Missing something here? Anyone want to help them out over there? I may have been naughty and left some out, but I'll tell you why in a minute. You say goodbye to her red coat. So what we got? We're missing something. So here we've got Dad said goodbye to red coat. Okay. Here we have red coat, mum and dad goodbye. Go on then, see if maybe you can get together. I think between you, you're nearly there. See if you can work out a sentence. I think we might be missing a subject there somewhere. Oh, they're all coming out now, are they? No, you can go if you want. You can go if you want. So, yeah. Oh, they're all jumping in the equation now. Yeah. This could be fun. Yeah. So we've got a mixture of a couple of different sentences. Okay, all right. So Dad said goodbye to Mum and Dad in Grandmama's house, and a red coat. Wore a red coat. Okay, let's stick with the goodbye one. So you guys, thank you very much for your participation, but good for now. But that's okay, that's okay. So we've got Dad said goodbye to Mum and Dad. What are we missing? We're missing something here. Ah, come on! Yes! Yeah. Here. Okay, alright. So what we got? So she said goodbye to Mum and Dad. Alright, you've got it now, alright? So it looks like between you, okay? See if you can make a sentence. So next one. So give them a round of applause. Well done. Right, next one. If you have the word, come on down. She might be right. She might be right.
The wolf saw bad wolf. That's the wolf.
So what do we got? Turn. The wolf went. That's a wolf. The wolf went and saw bad wolf. This is Vietnamese poetry. Yes. All right. What else did you see from last time? Maybe saw. Let's go with saw. Who saw? Where's the one from last time?
I've said. That's the wolf said. No, that doesn't make sense. Mine doesn't.
The wolf saw. Okay, so went.
That's the wolf.
I'm not sure why went's in there, but you can comment on that. The wolf saw bad wolf. What else could it be? She. Where's my she again? She, where are you? I told you you'd be busy. Where's she? Come on! Yeah. Here we go. There's only one she. I'm keeping you busy. So come on here. So she saw. Can you jump out? Can you go and sit down? Well done. Can you go and sit down? Sorry. Next time. So she saw bad wolves. What's missing? Come on down. Right. Okay. Here we go. There we go. So she saw a bad wolf. Give them a clap. I was going to do 5 more, but I may well run out of time. I think. Progress. All right. So have a think about this. I like to use this for a different reason. It's quite good, kind of like problem solving as well. Get some thinking. Eventually they get into it and it gets a little bit sort of quicker. What else do you see the benefits of this type of activity and the colour coding? What are you starting to notice? Can they see over there as well? So we've got, what kind of words are in yellow? The nouns, and we've got green, we've got articles, we've got saw, the key main verbs in blue, and she, the wolf are the subjects in purple, all right? So have a quick chat with a partner. What are the benefits of this color coding, okay? Have a quick chat. And what other activities could you adapt using this color coding, okay? Have a quick chat with your friends. Thank you very much. Well done. Bad wolves. A very busy day. It'd be great actually to share a couple of ideas on this one. For me, I think it's colour coding can be a really sort of powerful thing in the classroom. Any other ideas of how you might use the colour coding for any other activities? Any ideas that you want to share? Yes, sir.
It's a very simple thing. I made it 2 years ago. Different colors denote different parts of speech. That is all.
Say again.
Different colors denote different parts of speech.
That's the idea. Any other activities that you would use to do it though? That was the question, yeah. Any other activities that you use in your classroom? You said you've used this before. So any other ideas how that you use it to help them with the language learning in the classroom?
What I do is I print the flashcards, but I use kind of different design for that.
Okay.
And I put on the board or in the boxes different, for instance, 5 boxes, different cards with different colors, and I ask the children to make different sentences using, of course, different colors every time. For example, like she saw a bad wolf, and we can say he went, or he took a book, or my dad, one color, right? Cooked.
So you have different boxes for them already on a piece of paper or on the board, and they substitute in the different parts of the word into those boxes that you've already made for them.
And the colors help them to orient which word to put where. So.
Yeah. So is it physical boxes or just boxes, squares on a piece of paper?
Or no, I mean just simple flashcards. A7 size flashcards. That's all. Okay. And they use magnets to put them on board.
Great.
I call it colored grammar.
Colored grammar. Yes, you have colored coded grammar, graphic grammar, different ones, yeah. Thanks for sharing. Cheers. Yes?
I would categorize these students physically. I mean, the nouns here, the verbs here, so they would have to be the verb with the nouns.
Okay.
So it would be a bit physical thing too.
Brilliant. So different groups of students. So one group is like the subjects, one group is noun, one is the verbs, and they have to sort of physically manipulate themselves. Okay? Yeah, maybe a physical activity. Great, thanks very much. All right, so we're going to move on now to the last stage. We're going to have a look at how we can start maybe helping them experiment using the language in the grammar class. So this final one, you can do this in many different ways. Usually in your course book, you'll have maybe sort of role plays or mingling activities, something like that, to help sort of use it, the grammar in the context. I'm going to show you another activity called a group memory. Okay, group memory activity. So for this activity, could you, on a piece of paper, write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on a blank piece of paper, write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you've done that, can you write one word for each number? So a place you don't want to go. So right now it might be Syria, could be. So maybe a country, a place, a location that you don't want to go. So number 1, and write your place. Number 2, a famous person. Number 3, something famous from the place in 1. Okay. So something famous from the place in 1. Item of clothing, a strange animal, and a liquid. for the activity, you're going to be working in groups of 4, okay? So the answers that you wrote down before, okay, are going to connect to these questions. So for example, where did you go last weekend? Where did you go last weekend? I went to prison. All right, sounds fantastic. Where did you go last weekend? The detention room. Oh wow, okay, etc., etc. Where did you go last weekend? No. All right, good. So what I'd like to do find a group of 4 first. So find a group of 4. Okay, it must be a group of 4. So you might look behind you, look next to you, find your group of 4. Hang on. Wait. You were 3 or a 4? You were 4, okay. So maybe you can turn around, work together, find your group of 4. Okay, you guys okay? Group of 4 there. All right. Now. So you've got a group of 4. You've completed your sentences. Next step, take it in turn to read your sentence or ask the question, okay? And try and remember what everybody said in the group. You're not allowed to write down their answers. You have to try and remember what everyone said, okay? So take it in turns to answer the questions. Try and remember what everyone said. Don't write down, okay? Okay, so the next part, you can actually use a dice. You can roll a dice, or the teacher can say a number. So I'm going to give you a number from 1 to 6. So for example, if I say number 2, you have to try and remember for everyone in your group what they said for number 2. Okay, so for example, I'll say number 2, who did you go with? Try and remember everyone in your group. Oh, so you went with Bill Murray, you went with Justin Bieber, you went with, I can't remember, who did you go with? Okay, so try and remember. So for number 2, try that. Who did you go with? Okay, good. Next one. Number 6. Number 6. What did everyone drink? Can you remember? So you drank. Okay, and the last one, number 4. Number 4. What did everyone wear? Okay, so that was a group memory. You can use that for different grammatical structures as well. We use that one for the past simple. You can use it for different sort of grammar or tenses as well. It gets them using it, the target language and the sentences, hopefully in an emotionally engaging way. A bit of humour there as well. You were integrating in with your choices. Take it in turns to read. If they want in a group, they can throw a dice. Okay, and then if it lands on a number 2, they remember all number 2 sentences, or the teacher can give a number. It's up to you. All right. So that was a little introduction to a framework. Okay, so noticing the language first through a story dictation, a little bit of input. Okay, seeing, hearing examples. We saw the video there. Building awareness through the color coding. Through the grammar detectives, okay, some check-up tasks, okay, playing with the grammar, okay, and then actually using it, producing it, okay. So hopefully that was useful to help sort of picture or a framework or a structure for a lesson. Some stages you like, some maybe you don't like. You might want to change, adapt that. You might have your own great activities that you want to put in on that framework as well. All right? So thank you very much. I hope that was useful, some ideas to take back. And before we go, I have some little prizes for our artists. So where are our 3 artists? You come up and have your prize. So a little prize for you. There we go, for you. Yeah. There we go. This will be useful to do lots of practicing. All right. Give yourself a round of applause. So we're going to have a lunch break now, and we'll come back at 1 o'clock. Again, we'll have musicalized activities in here, then some video in the classroom over there. So see you again at 1 o'clock. Okay, thanks very much. Cheers.
Integrated with movements, there's a lot of opportunity for them to actually develop those fine motor skills that very little children still need to develop. You know, clapping can be very tricky for them because they have to get their hands in the same space, and so they're working on that. The other thing is you're developing the lungs, muscles in the neck when you sing, so it's actually really good for their whole body. Most important for me probably is the psychological effect it has there, because you fill your lungs with air, you sing, it makes you happy. When kids are happy, they're enjoying themselves, they're much more willing to behave, and they're actually a lot more open to that learning again. So very much multi-dimensional what you do. And then of course there's a lot of cognitive effects as well. John mentioned very briefly this morning that things go into your brain and you get the dopamine and everything going. Now with songs, the first thing you do when you listen to a song or someone speaking, what do you decide in your head? Yeah, so if you like it or not, so are you going to listen or not? So that sensory memory, when it comes in, it either decides forget, ignore, or decides to go in. But the sensory memory is very short in your brain. It can only collect like 4 to 7 words at the same time. How many words have you got in most sentences in children's songs? It's time to say maybe 4, maybe 5? Because that's all your brain can actually take in, decide, is it yes, I want to remember it, and it goes to your short-term memory. Once it's in your short-term memory, how are we going to remember it? Repeat, repeat, repeat. I think about 12 to 16 times we need to repeat it before it actually goes to your long-term memory. And then you need to repeat it more because you might be able to sort of passively recognize the tune and go, oh, I know the tune. But to sing it, we need to sing it even more for them to produce it. So repetition in songs is very important. That's why we need to use them a lot. But the most important thing from songs really is that it sticks in your head. It's very memorable. Now, like I said before when we spoke about this earworm, you listen to a song, I don't know if you're going to have this with boom, chicka, boom, I don't know what you're going to think on your way home, but it just is like a cognitive itch. You don't want to remember it, but it's sort of there, and you're like, oh, I can't get rid of it. So that's the most powerful thing of using music in the classroom. It's very instrumental for learning, and sometimes it sort of happens by itself. And that's what kids need to experience. They get it coming, it goes in, and because of repetition, it stays there. Good, so lots of good things about using music. Now, one of the courseworks I'm looking at is Doodletown, and I showed you this very briefly this morning. They've got lots of different songs in there. There's the language presentation songs, in which you can do your grammar and vocabulary presentation. But of course, you're not going to say noun, verb, adjective. You're just singing the song. But your focus might be on grammar or vocabulary. I'm going to do one of those in a moment, so you probably get an idea of how to use it. That one we spoke about. Then there is a lot of story songs, because songs and storytelling is really the natural way children learn. So we might have a story song. There is some moral in this song at the end. That's a fun song, but there's a message there as well. And then of course lots of chants. I'm pretty sure you use them in your classes already. So a lot of course books nowadays have sort of built around songs their whole curriculum, because it's a fantastic vehicle for language learning, holistic development of the child, and all those values and integrating all those other curricular topics with our learners. Good. But what I've seen a lot is that people play one song, maybe once, maybe twice, finished, and then they go to the next song. So what we thought about was, if you look at using songs, how can you actually make the most of them? Making the most of them is probably through a framework that we can properly prepare our students. They can join in that core activity, which might be the singing and the movement, but then also build on the core activity to use and pull out more examples of language without them really realizing it. I don't know if you have read Lynn Cameron's book about teaching English to young learners. She really says the key stage of this is the preparation stage. You need to get them ready to join you in that song. So one way of doing that could be just playing the song in the background while they're doing some artwork or some drawing or some free time. Another way is explicitly teaching vocabulary or trying to build a prior knowledge and find out what they know before you go into that. They need that to be enabled to join in, to be motivated, and then the follow-up sort of, it's a bit of a build-up and nice finishing off of your song. So we don't just play, sing, stop. There's actually much more we can do with that. So what I like to do, if you don't mind, is do a song with you. Yes, I'm going to take you through this framework and hopefully you can pick up some ideas. If they work in your context or not, that's probably up to you to judge. But I hope you find some ideas that you think, oh, this is actually an approach I could use, or this activity I could steal and adapt to my context. Good. First thing, I'm going to ask you, think about a classroom. If you've got a young learner's classroom in mind, correct. Can you find a bit of paper and a pen? Books. I have seen some pencils. Anything else? Crayons. Bowl. Say again? Parachutes. To jump out of the window if you had enough of them. Or flashcards. Table and chairs. Good. What I want you to do is listen to the song, which is called Hello Teacher, Look, Look, Look. And if you hear one of the things you have got in your drawings, can you lift your notebook? So if I have a table here, and you can hear the word chair, what do you do? Nothing. When you hear table and you have a table here, you should.
Unit 1. Hello. Song. Look, look, look.
Hello, teacher. Look, look, look. A pencil, a crayon, a ball, and a book. Hello, teacher. Look, look, look. A pencil, a crayon, a ball, and a book. Hello, teacher. Look, look, look. A pencil, a crayon, a ball, and a book.
I think you get the idea, right? So, okay, so let's have a look. What was the first word again we heard? A pencil. Okay, let me stick that here. And then the second word, what was that? A crayon. And the last one, the third one. A ball, beautiful. And then there was one more. A book. Hello teacher, look, look, look. A pencil, a crayon, a ball, and a book. So look and book have the same sound, which is pretty cool. Now, of course, with your students, what could you do next? They could repeat, we could sing, they could repeat, but what could we do with the flashcards and the students? That combination. We listen, and I want to see, because maybe you didn't have a ball, maybe you didn't have a pencil. I want to know that you actually start to understand and recognize the words. How can I check that concept? They could have little flashcards. Sometimes I photocopy lots of flashcards. They're little ones that they snap or hold up. But if we only have a few, maybe in their workbook.
You could divide the class into 4 teams, make one team pencil, one team ball, and then they have something.
Lovely. So you can actually activate them with the flashcards, and you could get them to point at things if they have the images in front of them. So you're really starting to understand if they actually get and understand the words and can link it to something. Now, as you might have noticed, when we speak about pre-literacy level, we don't often write with them. But there is a belief that showing them the letters makes them aware of the fact that everything we say comes in a certain form, script, words. So this is sort of dual coding. There's a picture and the word is underneath. So we're trying to teach them that everything we say is recorded through letters. Just exposure. You don't really need to start reading with them yet, but it starts to link in the brain in wonderful ways. Right, I'm going to sing the song, or you're going to sing the song with me actually. Can you remember? Hello teacher, look, look, look. What was it? Pencil, a ball, a crayon and a book. Now, I'm not going to do it in the same order. So you're going to look at my flashcards and we sing together, but you say the word of the image I point at. Yeah, so when I point at that, you say, great. When I point here, so you ready? It's very hard for me to do it in a different order because this is sort of going on in my hands. Okay, let's start together. 1, 2, 3. Hello, teacher, look, look, look. So what are you integrating in your singing? Yeah. But what do students need to do? Because they know by now, a pencil, a crayon, a ball, and a book. So what am I doing? I'm making it a little bit more confusing, as John mentioned before. So they really need to think, and Dale's talking about that. So they need to start to work it out for themselves. Yeah, so this is the image. Oh, it's not just repeating the same as the teacher said. I really have to think, do I know the word? Because we assume they can't read this just yet, so they really have to think about the understanding in their head. Of course, you don't do it as quickly as we did here. They need more time to become familiar with those words. One more task for you, in teams of, if possible, maybe 3 or 4. So maybe turn around and join a little group of 5 people. One of you is going to be the teacher. Yeah? So take your notebook, and I hope you don't have exactly the same as I have. So your team is going to sing, hello teacher, look, 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 and they're going to say what you point out. So 3, 4 together, take one notebook, one of you is the teacher, and then swap over in different roles. So point, and that's the word they need to say. So I hope your drawings are okay. Oh, yes! But I've got your attention. So another way of getting that attention back is getting you to collect rhythm. And like I said, with young learners, like I say, it's quite complicated. But it's good to develop that motor skill as well. They're all looking at you. Good. Some lovely singing, some nice teaching as well in your groups. Would this small group work with 3 or 4-year-olds? No, I think as a teacher you need to see, does this work or not? often do it with a group of students, and one is sitting next to me with their notebook, and then they point at it. So they are the teacher a little bit, but I'm still leading it, because otherwise they're often with families. And so you really have to check, does this work in your group? But what are they using? Which language are they looking at now? At their own language. It's a personalized idea, their drawings, their things that they notice in the classroom. So it's quite powerful, because it's something you have decided you want to put in there. So even when they're this young, you can already include some personalizations in this. Now, what other preparation activities can you think of with a song like this? So we did this, which was assuming you had some language. You could draw. Miming, for example.
Like before the song starts, you won't even say anything, you just go, run.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
ball. That was a big ball, wasn't it? But you can actually show them the items. Also, what could you do with these? You could just do something with a flashcards, because that's what they're made for, aren't they? They're flash. You can just sort of slowly reveal them. So there's lots of other ways of teaching the vocabulary. So when they listen to it, they actually want to listen because it has meaning to them. If you don't pre-teach at all, they can't do anything with the song. It's got no meaning or no engagement. It's very important that they're engaged during that song as well. Right, ready for the next one? Now this is a little bit more complicated. Some songs need very little work in pre-teaching. Other songs need a little bit more and probably more in-depth pre-teaching. So I'm going to take you through a few stages in this song, and hopefully you don't mind, but you're going to sing again in a moment. So let's have a look at a story song, and this is the title. Students, are you ready for a song? Yes. Look and listen, what is this, what is this? Is it a monkey, is it a monkey? No. Look and listen, what is this, what is this? Is it a duck? Is it a duck? Yes. Fabulous. It's a little duck. Duck. I think the sound is something we might have to practice. So this is our duck, and we're going to listen to a story. How many ducks can you see here? 5 or 7. Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So are they the same ducks or are they different? What is different about those two? They are white ducks, and they're also big ducks. Mummy duck and daddy duck. So we have how many little ducks? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to listen to the story of 5 little ducks. Where do you think they are going? Going to the beach. Are they going to school? I can't see it. Find out in a minute. So if you hear a duck, what do you hear? What sound do they make? Oh, quack, quack, quack. What do they look like? What movements do they make? Can you show me the sound and the movement together? So 5 little ducks. They're going out to play. They're maybe going to beach at the moment, but they're not going to school. They're going out to play. As you can see, they go over the hill and far away. Show me the duck again. 5. What about 4? What about 3? 2. It's really hard with that hand. So 5 little ducks go out to play, and they go over the hill and far away. So we're going to listen to the song, and I'd like you to stand up. So all you need to do is make the movements. But if you want to sing, that's okay. But I'm really going to try to make the movements. So the duck, heel, away. And remember 5, 4, 3, 2.
Unit 10, 5 Little Ducks, Story Song. 5 Little Ducks.
5 little ducks go out to play over the hill and far away. Mommy duck says quack, 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 quack. But only 4 little ducks run back. 4 little ducks go out to play over the hill and far away. Daddy duck says quack, 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 quack. But only 3 little ducks run back. 3 little ducks go out to play over the hill and far away. Mommy duck says quack, 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 quack. But only 2 little ducks run back. 2 little ducks go out to play over the hill and far away. Daddy duck says quack, 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 quack. But only 1 little duck runs back. 1 little duck goes out to play over the hill and far away. Mommy duck says quack, 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 quack. But no little ducks come back. So Mommy and Daddy duck say quack, quack, quack. And 5 little ducks run, run, run back.
Well done. One out to play. Now, of course, with your students, you might play this song a few more times before they actually can produce or copy that language. Because it takes time. And I usually say the first time we sing, I don't mind if they just do the movements. Yeah, it takes time for them to produce that as well. There's nothing wrong if they can take a little bit longer. And we just get them familiarized with it, have fun, and slowly they will come out of the shell and hopefully start singing along with you. Because you've heard the song 4 or 5 times now. So we had, what was it, 5 little ducks? Over the hill. Mummy duck says? Only? Right. So I'm going to divide you into teams. Red and blue. So there's a little bit of call and response, which means you really need to listen before you start to sing. And you know the song so well, so the students don't really have this, they don't need it because they don't read it. But we're just going to sing it based on memory and maybe the actions. So blue team, I think we are starting off. So we would go 5 little ducks, and what do you do, red team? Go out to play. Yeah, you can do the actions, the movement. If you want to stand up, feel free. Completely up to you. With my kids, I always get them stand up, but I appreciate you. So blue team, are we ready? Yes, am I the only duck today? 1, 2, 3. 5 little ducks go out to play over the hill and far away. Mommy duck says quack, 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 but only 4 little ducks come back. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Listening skills. Stop, finish. Okay, I need to sort of listen when they're done so I can start. Yeah, turn taking. Very good sub-skill of speaking. And what else are you actually doing? Because it's repeat, repeat, repeat. What do we normally call that when we talk about teaching? Drilling. Which is really boring, isn't it? It's so you're actually drilling in a much more engaging way. So it's important that when you notice, for example, they say duck and not duck, that you really pick up on that and then do the song again. I wouldn't stop them in the middle. I would probably correct them before, have a play, and maybe afterwards say, what was the other one again? Duck. Duck. Really focusing on that final blend to the consonant, because that's something that our students need to work on. Don't stop them when they sing, because they're having fun. Yeah, but correct them somewhere before you sing again. Good. Now there is one more thing I can do with this song, but you need to help me because I can't remember. Oh, I need 9 volunteers or victims. Oh, you're a volunteer. Can you hand some out there? Lovely. Can you hand some out behind you as well? Oh, anyone else? Lovely. So once you have a card, please come and join me at the front. Thank you. Just keep it like it is. Just one card and one. So we should have 9 people. I'm not a mathematics teacher, so let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Number 9. Yay, number 9 is coming. Lovely. I ask you, can you see them over there? Yes, all right. It's a little bit tricky with this in the way, isn't it? Good. Can you show your words to them? So it's a little bit messy because I don't think it's a right sentence. It says something like, home, come back, play, quack, quack, quack. 3 little ducks says, 4 little ducks, mummy, don't go out. Can you help me make 3 sentences, or very short sentences? Remember, we normally have 4 to 5 words in our memory that we can recall. Come back home. We have a come back home. Oh, we've got a come back home. Okay. Yeah, lovely. So what do we need here?
3 little ducks.
3 little ducks? Why not? Sounds good to you? What have we got next then? Another sentence I need. Mummy duck says, quack, quack, quack. Oh, we've got a play hanging around in the middle. 4 little ducks. Oh, 4 little ducks. I think you have to go back to the 4 little ducks. 1, 2. Happy with that? And it could be 3 little ducks go out to bed. That's not a big issue. Good. Now, John did something similar before, with the longer sentence if you were here before in this session. But I'd like you to show you how I actually introduce grammar to my learners to see that there's a pattern. Can you turn over your words and show them the colour? So, mummy duck, 3 ducks and 4 ducks. Can you put your cards up for me? So, the person, the thing that it's about, is a yellow word. Funnily enough, every sentence starts with a yellow word. Interesting. So what was the second word? Yeah, we don't say that to young learners. It's a verb. They go like, what? Can you eat it? No idea. What is it? What was the word? Come back. Says. Go to. So they're doing words. Lovely. So they're blue words. They're action words. Can you show me your blue words? Can you see what happens with the blue? It is always after the yellow word. Isn't that interesting? Wow. And then we have some ideas left. We have the idea left, what was it? Come back home. Mummy duck says, quack, 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 and go out to play. So then the end of the sentence, the idea to complete the sentence, and they're all orange words. So what you're actually showing your learners is sort of secretly teaching them the structure of how to build up a sentence in English. But I like that we have 3 of them because they can really see, oh, it's the same. It's always yellow, blue, orange. So they can really start to understand the pattern. They don't need to know there's a subject and a verb and the object. They just need to get a feeling for the language. There's a structure in English. This is how it works. Thank you, volunteers. I really appreciate it. Lovely. I call this body grammar. I think John called it colour coding. There's lots of different words for it. But you actually make it visual. You get learners to move. They move their body, multi-sensory. There's colours involved. And they can actually help each other. And it is still based on the song we did before. Good. Last question for you. What other follow-up tasks could you do based on this story song? Turn to the person next to you, have a think, what else could you do or have you done with songs like this? Share with the partner next to you. So I'm going to move you on, and I know you have very little time to share, sorry. What could you do as a follow-up? Act it out. You've said it now, I need to, sorry, can't help myself. I found this the other day in the shop, but it's so cool. So they can indeed act it out, and you can bring in toys, reality, or whatever. So they can actually have a mother duck or a father duck. I know I live in Sydney, so. But yeah, bring in things they can act it out. Maybe a scarf for father duck, maybe glasses for mama duck. Role playing, lovely idea to do. Anything else? A drawing dictation. Or they can just draw the sequence of the story. 5 ducks, 4 ducks, 3 ducks. They can even just, you print 5 ducks everywhere and they start to colour how many came out. So you're really integrating your mathematics there. And they could write underneath ducks. Just get them to play. It's not proper writing, but they're just having a bit of a play with a pencil and getting a feel for what we actually use that for. So drawing, acting the song, retelling it, and there's the word beat it. I'm not meaning anything mean there, but lots of my kids really like rhythm. They really like to play. So I love paint cups. And I don't know if you've done the paint cups activities. You can do it with your hand as well. And it would just be beating it. We're sitting with 12 of us on the ground, and we pass them on the cup. 4 little ducks went out to play. So beat, beat, 1, 2, 3, move it on. You can also just 4 little ducks went out to play. So clapping, rhythm, very simple thing. I like the drawing because it's personalised. And I also like to change words or animals. Yeah, so maybe duck is not your favourite animal. What's your favourite animal? Birds or cats. So they can actually change the story, sing it again with a different animal. We can do different actions. They didn't go out to play, they went out to eat, they went to the beach. So you can actually change the ideas. Again, to personalise. There's 4 different activities because I like my students to start to think about making choices. There's a lot of choices we need to make in life nowadays. So even with young learners, I'm trying to get them to think about what do you think you want to do. Oh, last week you did one, now you're doing one again. Wouldn't it be better to try something else today? And so integrating these life skills into the classroom actually. Because it also gives them an opportunity to be a little bit more independent and creative autonomy and participation. I don't know how much time I've got for this. Good. Yes, exactly. There's a chart, I'm not going to go through that one, which is really focusing on initial consonants. But in Vietnam, you might want to end actually with the consonant clusters, the end consonants. But the thing I like to use is very simple for you to make with any book you use, is a 2-3-1 chart. Are you familiar with this? You can use anything, a category of food, for example. I need something with 2 syllables, 3 syllables, and 1 syllable. Apple? Oh, lovely. I've got the apple. I always get the apple. What's the second one that you do? I have a banana as well. Oh, and I have, sorry, no, I have a pear, so I'm being funny this morning. It's a bread. But it could be a pear. Let's say it's a pear, because that sounds quite nice, isn't it? So we have an apple, banana, and a pear. Yeah, so 2 syllables, which one? Apple, 3, banana, pear. It's very simple, you're just going to repeat it. Apple, banana, pear. Apple, banana, pear. Apple, banana, apple, banana, apple, banana, pear. You can do jazz fingers or whatever. What I like to do as well with some teachers in Cambodia I've worked with is the pr sound. They find PI very difficult to say. And so we have the word practice, please, pronouncing. Can you help me out? What's the 2 syllables there? Practice, pronouncing, please. So we're really working on the initial consonant. Do you want to join in with this one? Practice pronouncing, please. Ready? Practice pronouncing, please. Practice pronouncing, please. Practice pronouncing, practice pronouncing, practice pronouncing, please. And you think, oh, it's a bit silly maybe, but actually they're saying it quite a few times. You're working on the initial consonant, and it's more fun than just say, please, repeat after me. Say again. So you're actually trying to cheer it up, and it's what you do with them. Good. So preparation. Get them ready for your main task. Make sure they are able to do that so they're motivated, they enjoy language learning, and then start to exploit that song, maybe for the theme, maybe for the topic. One question I often ask after the duck song is like, do you think it's a good idea? They go out over the hill, far away, alone. No mummy duck, no daddy duck. Is that a good idea? So then you can actually teach them about their value as well, that you need to ask and tell your parents where you go. So lots that you can do with the songs. So, good. Some top tips, of course, up to you. You need to select a song, whatever course book you have. You might feel this doesn't work. It might not be culturally appropriate, it might not relate to their interest. Adapt it. Select something that meets their interest, their needs, their level, and it's comprehensible for them. I think that's really important. Make it fun, arouse their interest so they really want to sing your song. Do something interesting. Regalia, put your hats on, whatever, bring your pictures in. So they're really curious. They want to engage with it. Make the vocabulary you preach is memorable. Yeah, just going like this, duck. Okay, so again, might not be as interesting. And get them to do something while you listen. As you all know, you have your pre, your while, and your post. Don't just tell them, listen. They can't sit still. They need to do something with their energy. So use it in a positive way. Make that practice fun. I know we repeat things a lot, so why not make it louder and quieter and in some silly voices? Remember the underwater unit? And they can put like a baby voice or Ella, or SpongeBob's voice, whatever they like. Jump on it. Think from within the song. Students learn English through the meaning, the actions, and the interaction, not because of the words they hear. So think about how you can illustrate what it means, and they can actually go ahead with that. Now think about if there's anything else that you can get out of that song, a message. The last one, to respond. Role play is always a very nice one to get them personally responding to the song. What do you think is going to happen next? Yeah, how do you think mummy and daddy feel? Can you role play how they feel? Even though they have very little English, they can still show the emotions. And you can maybe build up some words, and maybe some adjectives there. And most of all for us as teachers, I don't know how you feel about singing, but I always say my voice is so special, I only use it in the shower. Because I'm not a very confident singer at all. But as long as you're enthusiastic, you act like you just know what you're doing, the kids will follow you because they love music, they love singing. Yeah, so have a go, have a practice at home, just go into the classroom, give it a go, and think, how can I actually make this more beneficial for my learners? Because there's so much that you can do for their education through songs and stories. Thank you so much. Oh, there's one more thing. You're not done yet. Do you remember? What do you say at the end of the lesson? Right, are you ready? What is going to be goodbye then? Maybe, we do a different one than hello. Maybe do this one. Yeah. You ready? Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to say goodbye.
ideas, some tried and tested ideas throughout the years that I've used with my classes. You may have seen these before. If not, great. If you have, then give your advice and support to teachers of how you've used them and adapted them. And we're going to reflect on the use of thinking skills. Always good to reflect on what you're doing. But first, we're going to do a warm-up activity to get you thinking. We're going to look at a story called Two Camels. Has anybody heard the story about two camels? Not yet. Good. Yes. Now, if you know the answer, because there is a puzzle, don't shout it out. Okay, keep it quiet. All right? Until I ask you to volunteer your answer. All right? So, a rich man tells his two sons to race their camels to a distant city to see who will inherit all his money when he dies. So he's an old man, he's going to die soon, he's got lots and lots of money. Who will he give it to? Will he give it to this man, this boy, or this boy? This son, or this son? So he doesn't know which one. So he says, the winner of this race will be the one whose camel is the slowest. Okay. So, the boys, after wandering around the desert aimlessly, not knowing what to do, they see a wise man and they ask him for advice. What should we do? We don't know how to solve this. So after receiving the advice, they jump on their camels as fast as they can. They race to the city. What did the wise man say? Discuss. Don't shout it out. If you know the answer, put your hand up. Oh. You got a winner. One more. Very good, very good. Okay. Okay, now here we go. So I'll put you out of your misery. Could you tell us the answer? Yeah.
So the wise man will say that you should go with the others camels. So run with the other camels.
Yes, the wise man told them to change camels. And they will go as fast as they can to the town. This is an example of a thinking skills activity. It's a reading activity, it's got a little puzzle at the end, and students like to solve these, and it's like, oh. With an activity like this, you could just do it as a reading, or you could do something else with it. You could do a reading race, you could do a running dictation, you could do a dictogloss. We're going to do a dictogloss later. Now, like we did this morning we looked at the K, what I know about thinking skills, and the W, what do I want to know about thinking skills. So reflect on what we did this morning in the preliminary session. How do you find out? Well, you're here, hopefully. You'll find out the information you need to know about thinking skills. And what have you learned already? So, with the person next to you, with your elbow partner, can you tell them all you know about thinking skills so far? Okay, so just share your information about thinking skills. What do you know? Tell your partner. Okay, so you've had a little bit of chance to reflect on what you know, and we'll recap a little bit on that using the framework for teaching. So the first thing I'd like to look at is our book, Academy Stars, which has thinking skills embedded into the book. So if you look at this, in Academy Stars, lesson 8 of each unit is called Think About It. And this focuses specifically on thinking skills. So if we think of thinking skills, 21st century skills, the same kind of terminology, you will see lots of books. If you're using Beyond, that has a section on life skills. The same thing, thinking skills, 21st century skills. The same with Gateway Secondary, they have specific units or specific pages of the units that focus on 21st century skills. But today we're in primary, so we're looking at Academy Stars. At the bottom you can see the thinking skill that it's trying to activate with the students. This one is decoding information. Remember what I said this morning about there's so many different thinking skills, so much terminology about it. We're going to look at what's used in Academy Stars and try to understand what they are. But I think we can learn this by teaching it as well. It's not important to know what every single one is, but it's good to have an idea. So we start with an aim. So lesson 8, the lesson aims are write an animal puzzle. It's quite interesting. Rather than do an animal puzzle, we're writing a puzzle. So we're using different skills already. And first off, we're introduced to some of the vocabulary and the language. So what we need to do as teachers is look at that, and we need to stimulate the interest of the students, and we need to try and activate some kind of thinking skills. So, you're all teachers. How would you go about stimulating the interest? Now, I'm not using the book before you even open the book. How are you going to get the students interested in this topic? This is Academy Stars 3, so we'll look maybe like younger primary students. What could you do to get them interested? Tell your partner. Open it up to the group. Who would like to share?
You could do like a guessing game. It's got 4 legs, it's green. Whoever can guess those flowers or something.
Thank you very much. Yeah, good, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, on the topic of animals, I would maybe have them in groups of 2 or 4, have a race to see how many animals they can name in a minute, something like that.
Okay, great, thank you very much. Okay, any other ideas?
We can simply start by asking questions, what is your favorite animal, and get all of them to stand up and talk about their favorite animal. And they get some idea about what they're going to learn that day.
Okay, lovely, thank you. What about the thinking skills as well? Don't forget to introduce that.
I was thinking showing a picture of an animal, and maybe blurred out a little bit and get them to guess what the lesson's about. You can ask them to tell the partner what they think it's about, and then tell the class what they think the actual lesson's about.
Excellent, thank you. Lots of good ideas, thank you. Anybody else? What about from over this side of the room? A secret, these guys are.
I often do the pair work where one draws an animal or a monster and describes it to the other without looking at it, and they have to listen and draw. It's not really so much guessing, but it's quite fun to start the lesson off.
Good stuff, thank you very much. Anybody else? Oh, okay, loads of books.
I had a 5th grade class that are like, their English is very good and they're very imaginative. So with them, I would use possibly like who would win in a fight. So I'd have 2 pictures of maybe dolphin versus eel, and they have to tell me who would win and why they would win. So maybe they would already start using the target, like because the dolphin's faster or because the jellyfish can sting, this kind of thing.
Yes, I like that, that's great, yeah, thank you. Anybody else over here? Okay, 2 more.
I think we can give a small piece ourselves for the students to answer as a kind of honor for them to do later. Or you can have a list of many animals and ask students to put them in different groups.
Yeah,
in
this is.
groups or in pairs.
Yeah, the list and categorizing animals is very useful, yeah. Okay, great, thank you. Could you pass it behind you? Last one.
Yeah, I got an idea from a discovery program. That is, I draw parts of the animals and let the student guess what is it. For example, I draw something like ears of elephants. And if they can guess that is elephant, I may change a little bit and put some more things so it can turn into a butterfly, for example. Yes, I change the ideas very quickly so they have to guess and guess. And they have to tell different names of animals.
Yes, I like that. That's good. Yeah, generates lots of ideas. Thank you. When I was in Ho Chi Minh City, similar to the idea about having the animals to fight with each other, we had a teacher said that she would become an animal like a lion, and then she would select 6 or 7 students and give them an animal name, and they have to justify why she wouldn't eat them, which I thought was quite funny, quite a good little idea. Okay. So I had another couple of ideas. Your ideas are great. I just thought if nobody comes up with an idea, I have to give you something. So here's one for you. Very simple, easy to prepare. What's the odd one out? Okay. So I've got 4 animals. Tell your partner, what's the odd one out? Tell your partner why and justify. Why? Why? What is it and why? So it's the whale, yeah? Who thinks she's correct? Who thinks she's incorrect? Incorrect. Over here, let me find out. Why is she incorrect, sir? Okay, right. So who thinks it's snake? We hand up if you think snake. Who thinks this gentleman is incorrect? No. Over here, okay. So it's not whale, it's not snake. What is it? Dog. It's a dog, why?
Yes.
Wild. Okay.
Thầy đã bảo đâu mà.
Thank you very much. So, who thinks she's correct?
No.
Yeah?
Yes. No. No, nhưng mà lý do là không đúng.
She's incorrect. So, who thinks it's tiger?
No.
So the idea, everybody's correct. Yeah? But you have to justify why you're correct. The tiger is also correct. It's the only one that's really endangered. Some whales are, of course, and some snakes are. Not many dogs. But the tiger is endangered. It's the only one that's a cat. So the idea is there's no right or wrong answer, so students can talk and use thinking skills to justify why. The next one is similar to the idea that we had before. So this would generate the language of comparatives, which is similar to the one about getting them to fight with each other. So here we have top trumps. I don't know if you played this when you were a kid. I did. It's a great game, really good. You have a picture of something of different animals. So maybe you have 10 animals. I think it's 10. Or is it 7? I can't remember. And you deal them out between students. You can do it in groups. And they have to fight against each other. Whoops, sorry. So the categories we have here are mummy's tummy, weight, independence, mischief, and cuteness. So the students would pick a card, the other group cannot see it, and they would say, my cat is cuter than your animal. And they would then say, that's right, my elephant is not as cute as yours. And using comparatives, and then they keep the cards. It's a really nice game. Problem is, it takes a lot of preparation. But then once you have prepared, you can use them again and again and again and again. The kids love them. You can use them as rewards for them to play. The odd one out takes about 2 minutes to prepare. generates a lot of language, so you get a lot of bang for your buck when it comes to planning lessons. So just 2 ideas, but I like your ideas too. Now, next stage. So we've done the stimulated interest. The kids are ready to learn. They want to learn about animals. They're up for it, and they've been thinking. They're interested in the lesson. So what we need to now is provide the language and a challenge. We can't just give them the input. We have to give them the input and challenge them with something. We want to do problem solving and decoding skills in this one, and we provide a model. So here's the reading activity that they do, and they have to solve the problem. What's the answer? It's faster than an eel, and it's slower than an octopus, longer than a seahorse. Yes, it's a jellyfish. So they're looking at the animals that they've been introduced to, and now they're trying to solve a problem, decoding information. And then we work on to the next stage, stage 3, which is about the output. Very important, any output, to make it meaningful, you have to give them an audience. Okay? You have to give them somebody that they're going to talk to, somebody that they're going to write to. A reason for doing it. It's not enough just to do it for the teacher or for themselves. If they continue to do this just for themselves or the teacher, they start to get a bit slack. So if we give them an audience, such as this activity, is their friend, they're more likely to try a little bit harder to make sure it's effective. So now they have to write their puzzle. They've already had a model beforehand. They've been introduced to comparatives. They're stimulated for the interest with animals, and now they can use their thinking skills to write a puzzle. Then the students do it again, because they're reading each other's, so they're playing this game and guessing and sharing each other's information. So just to recap on that framework, stage 1, we interest and activate. And we have challenging input and meaningful output. You can receive this PowerPoint if you fill in the evaluation form at the end of the day with your email address. It will all be sent to you. And you can get my email address as well, and you can just write to me as well if you want something. No problem. Task. Now, before you look at your bag, one moment please. Up top are thinking skills taken from Academy Stars. So the first one says, make deductions and speculate about someone's identity. This is a thinking skill that they want to activate. You will see it at the bottom of Unit 8. Analyze and evaluate options, decoded sequence. What I'd like you to do, I've taken every unit, I've taken the task from every unit of Academy Stars 3, and I've pasted it into this document. What I'd like you to do is look at the actual task and just try and find out what skill it is trying to activate. So the first one here, listen, circle Lucy's answers in red and Sam's in blue. Choose a club for Lucy and Sam. Discuss with a friend and write. So, by doing this task, are they activating their decoding and sequencing information skills? Are they analysing and evaluating options? What are they trying to do? Now you can choose. You can do Units 1 to Unit 5 or Unit 6 to Unit 10. In your pack, there should be a matching task for you to do. Can you find it? Just looks like this. Work together. I'll give you about 5 minutes. 5 minutes to do this. Work together, share each other's ideas. So the idea for this, before I show you the answers, is not to test whether you know what these thinking skills are, but just to introduce you to this different terminology. It's not important that students know what decoding and sequencing information. I wouldn't even tell the students that this is what we're doing. Just do the activity, right? And as teachers, it's good to know the terminology, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is activating the skills. So Unit 1 is the first one over here. Unit 1, Unit 5. And this is the answer for Unit 6 to Unit 10, in case you're interested. All right, so let's have a look at some more ideas for implementing thinking skills. And as Linda said this morning, we're going to put these into 3 categories. The first one was creative thinking, lateral thinking, and puzzle solving. So let's do some activities. The first one is called Friday. Anybody know the story of Friday? Not yet? So we're going to do dictogloss. You need a pen and a piece of paper. Okay? Now this is a very, very short dictogloss that I might do with my primary 2 or 3 students. Very, very short. Again, if you know the answer, please don't shout it out. Keep it. So I'm going to read dictogloss. The teacher reads in normal language, not slow, not too fast, just normal language. You write down exactly what I say. Then you work together and you try to recreate the text. I will read it twice. A cowboy rode into town on Friday. He stayed for 3 nights and left on Friday. How is this possible? So work with your partner, recreate what I said. Recreate the text, and then I'll come and get the answer, okay? Okay, one more time. A cowboy rode into town on Friday. He stayed for 3 nights and left on Friday. How is this possible? Write the text, write the text. So before we go into the actual answer, the actual lateral thinking part of this, we would do the dictogloss. I love dictoglosses because they take no time to prepare. All you need is the text. Not too long, not too short. This is too short for you guys, but for primary students, it's about right. It practices listening skills, practices writing skills, they're collaborating together, trying to work out. It also helps with grammar, because they're trying to decode the information. Now, We had a hand up immediately over here, so I don't want to. So I hope you're right. So what's the answer?
Friday is the name of his horse.
Is the correct answer. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. I love this, man. So Friday's the name of the horse. This is why it's possible. Where does the confusion come from? Why is this confusing? What's the problem? Yeah. But it's this little word, isn't it? It's this little word, on. On is what is on? It's the preposition of. It's the preposition of place. Right? Of course. On this it's a preposition of place. But when we see the word Friday, we automatically, our brains automatically jump to time. Okay, it's Friday. We don't normally think about horses. Does anybody have a horse? No? Does anybody have a horse called Friday? Or does anybody have a horse called a day of the week? So the chances of this being a horse, that you would associating this with a horse, and then with a horse called Friday, our brains don't compute like that. So that little preposition of place, you can illustrate to your students how important the meaning is from these prepositions and how it can change the whole meaning of something. And it's also a bit of fun. As John said this morning about the glutamine, students get a sense of relief. Oh, God, I can't believe it. Oh, of course it's. They know the answer immediately. It's very easy when you know the answer. So now we're going to do a puzzle. We're going to look at your puzzle solving skills. Again, in your pack, there is a puzzle, a decoding activity. So I'd like you to work together. I'm going to give you 5 minutes because you're all teachers, you're all super clever. With students, I'm going to give you 20. I want you to try and do the puzzle. Think about the skills that you're using when you're doing this puzzle. What kind of skills are you activating? Is it easy for you? Is it difficult? Why? How would your students feel if they were doing this? We've got 2 people who finished, which is incredible. Nobody finished in Ho Chi Minh City. Nobody finished. No, it's too difficult. They're doing 4 minutes, but not for these 2 guys. Now you can check your answers. There you go. Would you like the book or a cup? Yeah, that's good to know. So I'm not going to keep this up for long. If you want to know the answers, you have to get the email, fill in your evaluation form. Okay. We don't want to move on. We've got other things to do. Now this is another thinking skills activity on a theme. There are different variations of this kind of activity. Very good with getting teenagers. Actually, just going back to this one. Sorry. This activity I've used with teenagers, and I've adapted it, I've personalized it. This morning's session we talked about personalization. With things like this, you can include the students in your class if you know them well enough. If you've done a needs analysis and you know what their likes and their interests are, you can write this for your students. It takes time to do that. But the reward of seeing your students' face light up, and I'm speaking from experience, when they see it, they see their own name there, and they see their own hobbies and they can fill it in, and they feel great. So have a go, write one for your students, and watch them respond to that. It's really wonderful to see. Also, you're so quiet when you're doing that. You can hear a pin drop. And in our young learner classrooms, isn't it great just to have a bit of peace and quiet? You can sit down and just go, oh, think about what you're having for lunch and just relax. So it's a nice classroom management tool as well. It's very useful for that. Okay, let's look at this one, space survival. So variation on a theme. With all these activities, I will be pre-teaching vocabulary. I will be stimulating the interest. I'm missing out stage 1 and stage 2, really. I'm going straight to the activity, because you don't need to be pre-taught the vocabulary. But I would be pre-teaching this vocab for my students. Here, your students are on a space exploration to the moon. Oh, but there's a problem with the engine, and they cannot get to the mothership. But in order to survive, they must get there. So their task is to work together, to collaborate, to think critically and creatively of how they will get there. Now I'm going to give them a list of 10 items. Your task is to rank the items. 1 is the most important, 10 is the least important, that help you get to your mothership. So I'll give you 2 minutes, put them in order, 1 to 10, which is the most important and the least important. Just talk. You don't need to write, it's okay. Just have a chat. They've come up with a list. What we might do now is maybe create a poster. They might have to present in front of the class, justify their opinions to the rest of the group. I'm not going to get you to do that, that's okay. But I will show you, when I contacted NASA last week to ask them about this, this is what they told me. They said, yeah. They said, oxygen is number 1. Water is number 2. What's number 3? You can live for quite a long time on water, right? But you have to get there, so you need the map. I guess, I don't know. What's number 5? Radio, receiver. And then rope. Useful for tying injured people together. It's NASA, it's NASA, I don't know. First aid kit, parachute, in case you want to jump off. Flares, and matches are no good, they don't work on the moon. Yeah. No oxygen. Okay, so these kind of activities are nice with higher level teenage students generally, or maybe even primary, high level primary students. But you can change it for younger students. You could send them off on a picnic with 15 items, and they have to choose 10 items that they want. So I want the cake, I want the Coca-Cola, I want the cheese, that kind of thing. So they have to come up with an idea based on their level and the vocabulary that they're learning. Maybe they're opening a zoo and they have to choose 10 animals that they want people to come and see. Something like that. There are other variations on these kind of debates. You're in a balloon, there are 3 people. The balloon is going to crash, but you have to throw 1 person out. So who do you throw out the balloon? You select 3 people in the class. You can select 3 teachers in your school. You can select 3 celebrities, 3 Kardashians. Which one would you throw out? Probably all of them. I don't know. So there are other ideas based on this theme of coming to a decision, a group decision. Now, we're sort of running it out of time a little bit. So I'm not going to go, I'll just take you through this activity. This is a very old story. Again, I'm sure some of you have seen it. A man and his son have been to a party. So what I'm going to do with this is a jumbled reading activity. There's a puzzle to be solved. They have to put it in the correct order. I've done this kinesthetically as well, so I've put it up and then physically I have to put it in order, which is a nice little variation. But for you guys, I've just put it like this. So let's do it together. So a man and his son had been to a party. What's the next line? The car skidded on the wet road. The car crashed into a tree. Oh, no. The man was killed. His son was seriously injured, yes. Someone called for an ambulance. It rushed the son to hospital. He was immediately taken to the operating theatre. The surgeon washed and went into the theatre. The surgeon saw the boy and shouted, "My son!" How could that be? See, there you go, Carl says. The surgeon was his mother. Most people think that his dad's, it must be his grandfather. No. I did this with a group of doctors. I'm not joking, you think I'm lying. No, you didn't. I didn't. I was doing it with a group of doctors and nurses I was teaching, and I did this activity, and none of them could get it. You're doctors. You're doctors. You could be surgeons, right? Yeah. So, what's the answer? It's his mum. Oh, okay, yeah. So variations, lateral thinking puzzle. There are many of these. Google lateral thinking online and you'll get these. Use them as dictaglosses. Use them in reading races. Use them for running dictations. Anything you like. Make listening activities out of them. Get students to dictate them to each other. Now the last thing I just want to talk to you about is what you can do as teachers as well. So you can give them tasks, use the course books, use the materials in the books to generate, to activate these thinking skills. But there's other things that we can be doing, very simple things, such as asking questions in a critical way. Not being critical, not criticizing, but asking critical questions. So I'll just have a look at this. And can you tell me, not the answer, but what you would do? Oops. So instead of saying no, what could he say? What could he ask? Good, yes. What makes you think? What else could he say? Yeah, asking questions about the dog itself and seeing if you can compare. Yeah? How is it like a dog? It's got 5 legs. Exactly, yeah, good, yeah. So we need to think about these questions that we're asking our students. Let's not answer with yes or no. Let's start getting students to answer their own questions by asking them questions. Often in our relationships, our normal relationships, if I ask a question and somebody answers me with a question, that can be quite annoying, right? So if you're, what would you like to have for dinner? I don't know, what do you want for dinner? It's like, tell me what you want. Where do you want to go tonight? I don't know, where do you want to go? It drives you crazy, but for when we're teaching, it's actually quite a useful tool to get these thinking skills out. Okay, so my challenge to you now is to think about what are you going to do with these thinking skills. How are you going to use them in your classroom? How are you going to activate your students' thinking skills and get them thinking differently? And that's what I'd like you to take away today. Does anybody have any questions or any comments they'd like to? I'm going to give you my email address. That's a challenge, isn't it? Because they might not have the English skills to be able to do that. So giving them tasks to do, that can, because when we're thinking, we're not thinking in English, right? We could be thinking Yeah, so that's okay. As long as they're honing those skills, then when their English gets better, then they'll be able to use the English to describe them. So you could get them to describe it in Vietnamese. That's okay, as long as they're using that thinking skill. That's what you're trying to develop with the lower level. Okay, thank you very much for your participation. Please fill in your evaluation forms and give them to us now, quickly, because we're going to have a prize draw. A lucky draw. John, do you want to add anything?
I think evaluation forms are in your packs, so they just help us. We take your feedback seriously. So the sessions that you watched today, just give us a little bit of feedback. Let us know how we're doing. That'll be really, really useful, and then we'll draw those out of the bag. Some nice prizes for you.